listening to The Review on the OSG Sports Podcasting Network.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to what promises to be a topic-filled college football podcast called The Review. That show is hosted by us, the online sports guys. We've got a whole lot of stuff to cover. I don't want to go through and babble incessantly about the introduction. Guys, we're going to start off and cut straight to the point of the matter here. As we record this on a Sunday late on a Sunday morning, word has already trickled out that Brother John's favorite college football coach, Jimbo Fisher, will no longer be the head coach at Texas A&M.
Insert applause here.
I would like biggest betting odds on that's not the only Jimbo that's going to get shit canned this year.
And we've earned waiting for the day out of the
I'll beep it later.
Fisher has signed a 10-year, $95 million extension to his already obscene contract with Texas A&M. Is due, what is it, like $76 or $77 million?
$76 million, and I hope the man loves crypto and invests it all in it. $76 million. In other words, oil money sat there and was like, "What's in your wallet? What's in your wallet? What's in your wallet? Got change for a 10? Okay, yeah." So they got that figured out. Good on you. Congratulations. Merry Christmas. You'll write it off and you'll move on. What a shock! And we've even got a list of candidates now, according to our buddy Pete Thamel. Once again, money no object. Lane Kiffin, Mike Elko, Norvell, Lanning, Jeff Traylor, Kleeman, Kingsbury, and Kalen DeBoer. That's his short list.
Seeing Kiffin at the top of that short list makes it sound like they have a type that they like.
Well, they've got that type in-house, and Bobby Petrino, their offensive coordinator.
Yeah, but he and DJ Durkin, they're getting the knives out. Look, Jimbo's been thrown over the top rope. And now with Brutus Cassius and Caesar left to the final two in the Royal Rumble, you know that the knives are going to be out for those two.
Is that short?
Look over there, push.
Is that short list a realistic short list, or is that a dream scenario short list?
Because money is no object. A dream list, a short list is a short list.
And that's great, but it's already been proven that spending a whole crap ton of money isn't going to buy a championship for Texas A&M.
That don't stop people with money from spending money.
No, you got to know the Texas A&M alums. They'll stop at no expense to get what they want. And that's why, look, I don't know if it's going to happen, but that's why I think Bob Petrino is going to take over in the interim and probably be the guy they want because he's got cachet. Yeah, he's controversial, but A&M has always hired controversial guys. I mean, Jackie Sherrill was there for a time. I go back to Emory Ballard, who didn't have the cleanest reputation in the coaching circles. That's kind of what A&M does. And
they have a type.
They do have a type. Here's what A&M is up against. They had 10 years to separate themselves from Texas when they joined the SEC. And they initially had Johnny Manziel and they had Kevin Sumlin's offense. And then it fizzled. They got desperate and brought in Jimbo because he basically had to leave Tallahassee and he was available. And they threw a king's ransom at him and it just didn't work out. So now that Texas is joining the SEC next year, they're in a tough spot because they didn't accomplish what they wanted to do, even with all the money in the world, all the oil money in Texas and from their very deep-pocketed alums. And now they're figuring out how they can write checks for Jimbo Fisher for $75 million. Guys, the decision was made Thursday. Mm-hmm. They're just now trying to figure out what salary structure they're going to have. How is this going to work out in the taxes? All this stuff that's beyond our realm of thinking. They're just trying to work out the details, put together a contract or an agreement that won't get them sued and move on. And so, and find a new coach.
as our resident football budget guy, wouldn't it just be cheaper to go back to the Big 12, which you could probably win easy, or the Pac-2?
You would think.
It'd be cheaper to buy your way out of the SEC and then go to a conference you can win.
The irony
Just
of
saying.
Well, they think they can win the SEC. I mean, that is their line of thinking there. And they had 10 years to do it, and they couldn't
Stop!
do
You're
it.
gonna make me pee.
I mean, you're there, Marty. I've been around
I know.
that program.
I've done games down there. It's ridiculous.
I've been there in both.
Largest roaches I've ever seen at a hotel room, by the way.
Everything's bigger in tech. I mean, I've been there in both incarnations of Kyle Field, pre-expansion and post-expansion. And the post-expansion Kyle Field, which was an expense going into the conference where it just means more, which fits their MO. Look, most of the time, the lights to the upper deck at Kyle Field are low or off. You will not be able to see how unfilled those seats are in the upper end zones because they ain't filling the joint. And they need to do something, which means they're going to paddle that much faster to try to bring in a coach, to spend more money, to get more coaches, more personnel, and all this kind of stuff. They have created a vicious economic cycle that they're not going to get out of. They don't care to get out of it, but it's not giving them the results they want either.
Kyle Field had the best atmosphere I've ever been at a college football game. And this was back in their Southwest Conference days. And by the sound of things, it way overexpanded their stadium. And that charm that Kyle Field had, sounds like to me, is kind of left. They still have the yell leaders, still have the military band, but it's not a pit anymore. And it used to be a pit. And so, yeah, that program is in a crossroads right now. And depending who they get, I mean, they want to win and win now. They think they can get all the 5-star recruits that come to College Station.
Well, NIL, you can do that now.
Yeah. They can get ones that record interesting videos driving through a parking garage at 70 miles an hour.
The irony of all this is A&M won their game on Saturday, 51-10 over a kind of a bad Mississippi State team.
Hey, they're the best five. They were the best 5-4 team in the country. Just ask them.
But the other irony here is the coach that Fisher replaced, Kevin Sumlin, had a better record.
Yes,
over the.
And I think that's what buried Jimbo Fisher. I mean, by now they felt like they should be competing with Alabama on a regular basis and at least winning the SEC West and getting to the title game and maybe beyond. That hasn't happened. And now they're on the hook for $75 million. And you don't know internally what Jimbo Fisher and the alums and the boosters and how that relationship soured. I kind of saw it firsthand at Florida State. It may have happened at Texas A&M. Wouldn't have shocked me if it did. But I think those factors were in play too. And the fact that, Jimbo Fisher made his reputation as developing quarterbacks. And
now all he does is
what has he developed at Texas A&M?
He's turned into a yell leader. All he does is yell at his quarterbacks. He doesn't develop them anymore.
I would argue he may not have been that great of a head coach to begin with. He won a title at Florida State, but that was more because they had talent already in place.
And because
he was his quarterback coach while he was there, and is he with them anymore?
No.
It'll be an interesting story to follow. And ironically, this is also the first big coach to be let go this season, which is unusual for a college football season.
All budgetary now. They have to sit there and analyze what they can figure out. What can they afford to lose in a contract? And so you're going to see more coaches being let go at the end of years because they'll owe less on the buyouts than they would if they decided to dispose of somebody right now or earlier in the year or something like that. So
they're setting the market on the buyout prices.
Correct. Yes.
Exactly. And that's going to hurt them for the early signing period now that in college football. I mean, it's a vicious circle now with programs that are struggling and wanting to make that move. They tried to make those moves in mid-season. It's turned out to be because of the buyouts. It's turned out not to be the proper way to do it. Now they're waiting at the end because that's where the buyouts get reduced. It's just a vicious circle in college football.
Yeah, speaking of vicious circle, the other big story of the weekend, happened in the Big Ten. That was
There we go. Here we go.
the
Here we go. Here's where Marty laughs for a second.
of Michigan head coach Jim Harbaugh for basically what everybody's agreeing actually happened, that Michigan was stealing signs and spying on the other teams. Because
I just want to ask, when was the last time anybody's heard that the NCAA gave information to a conference before they were done with their investigation, saying this is so egregious, here is a spreadsheet of what we have so far, we just thought you should know to maintain competitive balance?
Are you or are you not a knock?
they have them dead to rights. Michigan's not denying it. If you look at the response that they made to the 12-page letter from Big Ten suspending Harbaugh for the next 3 games.
Okay, the better part of one of those pages was lifted from a blog. From a blog. How much did you pay the lawyer that wrote that? That he's cutting and pasting verbatim from a blog. He wasn't even smart enough to use Google AI to rewrite it a little bit.
Oh, man.
I know I'm biased as I'll get out for this, but for the love of God, cheating that badly, and to say that there's no competitive advantage with it, the exact amount of time that you did it is the exact amount of time that your team has played better.
Hey, it's another Texas example.
I don't know a lot about cause and effect, but it sounds
look at Roger Clemens. We can compare Roger Clemens in the University of Michigan too.
Ask the Astros. It doesn't do anything for you. Where's that horse at?
Where's my garbage can?
I find it ironic that Michigan considers themselves being persecuted for all this, but nobody said they haven't done it.
I might take a full week and repost every Michigan broadcaster's comments about Jim Tressel's cheating, where kids traded their own belongings for tattoos.
Go for it. Absolutely go for it.
Just don't be a hypocrite. You can have an opinion. Don't be a hypocrite.
It's Mondays with Marty, going back to the
Well, what are your thoughts on this?
You don't think other teams are doing that?
God, no.
Yeah.
Michigan just got caught.
Yeah,
they're recorded to make such a paper trail, to have like a 500-page manifesto.
Right.
To do
Other teams are probably a little
manifesto.
smart by not having a paper trail and covering their bases. Michigan just got caught because they got sloppy. And but what I find interesting is Michigan has just declared all-out war on the Big Ten.
Yeah.
And it would not shock me, and I would probably expect them to withdraw from the Big Ten within the next few years. Yeah, well, sure, but you're going to totally devalue the TV contract that NBC, Fox, and
if you want to have to pay that buyout and then take a much lower pay up for the next whatever conference you're going to go to, you're going to make less money on a TV contract.
Or
unless they go to the SEC.
Or
it's a better buy.
Or do you turn independent and do the reverse Notre Dame shtick, where you negotiate your own deal and do it that way?
But
I also hate to tell you, but the SEC commissioner was one of the people that ratted on him.
Think about that one, John.
Because they caught him.
Is Michigan, for all Michigan's success that they've had, and it hasn't
Wait. Give me the last bowl game they won. That's not success.
Over the last couple of decades, they've had periods of success with periods of mediocrity. Are they really a national brand? Is somebody in Arizona or Oregon going to sit there and say, oh my God, Michigan's on TV, I've got to watch this?
Oh, yeah. They got that coach that likes milk and is scared to eat chicken.
And wears khaki pants.
But what I'm saying is, outside the Big Ten, where they're fervent about it, are they really a Notre Dame level national brand?
They're pretty darn close because they've got alums all over the country. And they are one of the top universities academically in the country, and they have that reputation too. I don't know if they're at the same plane as Notre Dame, but they're pretty darn close. And I don't think it'll ever come down to Michigan negotiating their own TV contract with a network. but I do think that they're exploring. It wouldn't shock me if they're exploring opportunities outside of the Big Ten to see if, you mentioned Greg Sankey helped out as far as turning Michigan in. I don't think that's an avenue they would go to. They would probably look into that, but
But if you're Greg Sankey, would you want to touch that though at that point?
Also, that ESPN is one of the brands that they've endorsed boycotting because of comments made by Feinbaum on his show.
Oh,
they want nothing to do with Disney or ESPN.
Big FOX. There you go.
And this isn't some dude on a blog or podcasters like us. This is somebody in a position of power saying to ban all these things that they're going to need if they try to go out on their own.
This is a whole separate topic of conversation, but
this is its own podcast at that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It plays out.
Yeah.
The era of the big buck TV deal isn't going to be around for much longer.
No, not with streaming, because networks aren't making money off of that. In fact, they're losing money off of it.
Yeah.
And it's not turning out to be the panacea they thought it was going to be.
Yeah. Pay attention to how this Bally stuff is going to pan out. They're
gone.
They're done, but they're about to give back. I've been hearing rumblings. They're going to give back local broadcast of baseball and basketball again. So fans that live in the area can actually watch it.
But yeah,
Major League Baseball is about ready to take over the local broadcasts anyway. And that's the cash cow for those, but that's a different
conversation. Doesn't matter.
For
Put it on a local channel.
Yeah.
Moving on, let's go through some games here because we had a lot of ground to cover. It was a busy week in college football. I'm going to start pretty much at the top with the game that I saw several games yesterday. The one that impressed me the most was the Georgia win over Ole Miss, 52-17. Georgia just looked basically unstoppable in that game.
Welcome back, Brock Bowers.
He wasn't even a factor in the game.
But
didn't have to be.
No.
I think my 21-year-old son, who was at the game, said succinctly about the game, it's cold, it's wet, and Ole Miss is getting their ass kicked.
Yeah.
Enough said. We got to bring him on.
Pretty much sums it up. Georgia just absolutely ground Ole Miss into a pulp. And for all the things that we talk about with individual players and how good they are, the one thing that's really stood out to me, and it's a guy who doesn't really get the national level recognition that maybe he should be getting, and that's Georgia quarterback Carson Beck.
Well, there's just too many quarterbacks out there that had the preseason hype that have lived up to it, and so it's a crowded room. And Beck hasn't had a chance to weave his way into where he owns the room yet. But you're right. Carson Beck is as good as anybody in the country right now. But he's just stuck behind a quarterback class that that's got a lot of hype to it. And he just didn't have that hype going in, and he's proved himself.
Still 306 yards, 2 touchdowns against the top 10 teams. Nothing to sneeze at.
And the guy gets better almost weekly. You can see the growth in his game. We talked a little bit about Michigan just a minute ago. They beat Penn State 24-15, and I'm not sure this game was as much about how Michigan played as how bad Penn State played. They are just a bad offensive football team.
Which means that James
they got exposed.
Extension.
Yeah.
Phil, your stunt double. He needs to go. He just can't. He can't win a top 10 game. And then, okay, how come nobody's talked about Michigan starting quarterback? The dude did not throw a pass. Half the game.
Didn't have to.
Well, yeah, because the kid doesn't know how to read a defense without somebody telling him what's coming. They did that, and I'm not trying to pick on the kid, but they did him a disservice doing that, and it's a legitimate worry now. Look at the last 2 weeks where they finally officially fired that guy.
Well, we're gonna find out here really soon if that's going to be the case, because their antimatter, Ohio State, also won 38-3 over a Michigan State team that was just completely outclassed. Marvin Harrison put up Marvin Harrison Jr. numbers. It's what he does.
Marty,
got
you
his
need to
first
start his
running.
Heisman campaign, Marty. Come
Oh,
on.
they've been pushing it. You can't tell me that rushing touchdown wasn't part of his Heisman campaign.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, how can you watch him at all and not think he's one of the best players?
Dude, you need to get up front on this, man. Ohio State guy, get on front. Here's your platform.
The school's already doing it. And the
no help from you.
The tens and tens of people. There's no doubt he belongs there. I mean, who else is doing that thing? And with an unproven quarterback and an unproven line.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. He's that good. John, Florida State got a win. They beat Miami in what was kind of an ugly game.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
No, I mean, look, everybody was asking me about it, and I'm like, look, the University of Coral Gables is going to cover. It's going to be ugly. It would not have surprised me if it was a backdoor cover. I knew it was going to be closer than it was. It's just how it is. Look, I was in the stands for the 26-25 game when everybody knew Danny McManus was going to throw the 2-point conversion to Pat Carter, and two kids named Blades were going to double team him in the back of the end zone. That's just what this series is. Yes, I know. Let me see. Derek Schmidt, Richie Andrews, Danny Mowry, Jerry Thomas, Javier Betia. There you go. Look, I know all about it. So all of this information, all this empirical evidence coming in, it was going to be closer than it was.
The difference in the game, Keon Coleman, who had a huge punt return late in the game and also caught a late touchdown pass.
Thank you to the portal, and thank you, Mel Tucker.
One of the other games that I got a chance to watch, and I'll let you guys talk about it a little bit too after I talk here. Washington gets the win over Utah in what was a really, really strange game.
It was a great game, though.
35-28. Arguably one of the strangest plays I've seen all season long was the interception that should have been a pick six, but wasn't because the ball got dropped on the 2-yard line.
Yeah, and I get
it not only got dropped, it got dropped and passed on by multiple players.
Yeah, well, and I give Jason Benetti credit on the broadcast on Big FOX. He was on top of that from the
he saw it immediately.
Absolutely beginning. He saw that, and so we celebrate the new broadcast play-by-play voice of the Detroit Tigers, Jason Benetti, for being on top of that call.
But a good win for Washington. Utah's chances of winning the Pac-12 have kind of gone out the window with this game. The other team running for the Pac-12 title before they go away, the Oregon Ducks, they continue USC's misery by beating USC 36-27. 12th year senior Bo Nix, 412 yards passing and 4 touchdowns.
Yeah. You want to talk Heisman push?
He's going to be sitting next to Marvin, hopefully.
What do you think Oregon's going to go away?
Because Dan Lanning will be the new head coach in College Station.
Props to USC for giving up less than 40 points, though.
True.
Yeah.
That's what happens when you fire the coordinator.
Yeah, I had the over in that game, and I guess that was my mistake.
Yeah, they played some semblance of defense, considering they got rid of their defensive coordinator. Texas really struck. We thought Texas was going to run away with their game against TCU, a team that's not nearly as good as they were last year. Going into the fourth quarter, Texas up 26-6, and they almost lost. TCU outscored them 20-3 in the fourth quarter.
They're back.
Well, if you're a Longhorn fan, you've got to be concerned that they can't finish the deals. And this is the second week in a row where the other team has come back about a week ago. Kansas State, now TCU, have come back and almost snatched a victory over Texas. They're not finishing the deal, and that's not going to bode well if this team makes the playoffs.
I was wondering what all that noise was going down the street.
That would be it. Quick mention here, Alabama clinches the SEC West. Big surprise. They beat Kentucky 49-21. Jalen Milroe seems to also get better almost weekly. 3 touchdowns throwing, 3 touchdowns running, a huge game.
Would you say this is Nick Saban's best coaching effort in his years at Alabama? I mean, we left him for dead week 2, and thinking that this is Saban's. The game's passed him by. It hasn't passed him by at all.
Absolutely, yeah. The game's passed Nick Saban by. Shut up.
Every time I see an Alabama highlight, I just hear the Jaws music slowly getting louder. Dun,
And
dun,
all
dun,
they've done
dun.
is get better every single week.
Mhm.
Phil, before we move on, I got to roll here. I just got to say one thing here, and it's to Mr. Nelson on my bottom box. I am so glad I did not wager the Arkansas Auburn game with your better half. I was sick to my stomach midway through the first quarter.
Yep.
And I'm going to leave you with that note.
Well, I mean, I figure now, sadly, I do think that Sam Pittman is on the career dissipation platform. Sadly, at Arkansas, because he's had poor coordinators, and you had a quarterback that you knew what you could do with, and you decided to go away from that to be the key to your offense. But I think that Sam Pittman can be scapegoated for what's going on.
Yeah, that was more of a Dan Enos thing than Sam Pittman thing, but he let it go too long. When you have a 6'5", 260-pound quarterback in fourth and inches, you're running the shotgun. It just doesn't make sense. But I think he gets another year. He's very popular with the AD and with the fans, and I think he gets another year. But with Jimbo Fisher available and another desperate program in the SEC, anything can happen.
Well, that would be
nice spending time with you guys.
Be good, Wilkie.
Be good.
Wow.
Real quick, some other SEC action on Saturday. Missouri with a resounding 36-7 win over Tennessee. Any questions about Missouri's legitimacy this year? I think may just have been answered.
In Columbia, yeah. I still want to see him on the road consistently and in a big game more than anything else.
And what happened to Oklahoma State? They win Bedlam, a crazy game, Bedlam game against Oklahoma. They traveled down to Orlando to face UCF, and they didn't just lose; they just got their butts kicked, 45.
They got pummeled. That is the classic big game hangover.
Yeah, absolutely.
Multiplied by November stumble.
Yes.
I'm trying to think. Did I leave out any cliches?
No,
that's a good
small. And moving on in the SEC, here's who I think the best player in college football is this season. That's Jaden Daniels of LSU. Daniels counted for 372 yards, 3 touchdowns passing, 234 yards, and 2 touchdowns running the ball as LSU beat Florida 52-35. That's absurd performance. That's video game numbers.
And that's why he should be in New York.
Hopefully he
went off Bo Jackson style.
Another
straight
loss.
Up Tecmo Bowl for our older listeners.
Yes, go all the for quarterback. You go all the way out to the edge on the line of scrimmage, and then take your quarterback keeper and go north.
Another loss for Coach Prime. Colorado goes down on a game-winning field goal. Arizona beats them 34-31. Arizona, one of the better stories of the season. They moved to 7-3. Let's see, Iowa. They scored 22 points.
Yeah, but the number was 27.
That is true, but the problem is Rutgers scored 0. North Carolina beats Duke in a nail-biter overtime game, 47-45, after Duke does not get the 2-point conversion in overtime.
Hey, you skipped our budget game, Tulsa and Tulane.
True.
I know.
Tulane got the Duke in that one. Big win for them.
Gotta represent our friends at Tulane.
And yeah, we have to represent our budgetary brethren now. That's what we have to do here.
Going down the list here as we wrap things up here on the first block of the review. James Madison remains undefeated. They beat UConn 44-6. UConn, one of the worst teams in college football this year. James Madison, arguably one of the best unknown teams in college football.
And don't sign the deal that you signed when you went into the conference, and stop complaining, and don't get the Attorney General of the state of Virginia involved. You signed the deal. It was a 2-year deal. The fact that you grew to the extent that you did is not the rest of the Division I issue. You signed that deal going into the conference. You're like, okay, we need 2 years. We need a 2-year window where we're not going to, we won't apply for a bowl. Then you got a great start. Oh, we want to have a bowl game. If everybody else doesn't apply, if their wins and losses don't apply, then you can get in the door. Don't sit there and say, well, look at our start. You signed the deal.
It's not a new thing either. They're not the first team to go through this.
So you're saying that an organization that has an obligation to abide by the rules of their conference and by the NCAA. Okay, I'm just saying, like, I wasn't sure if we just went back to the Michigan discussion.
Yeah. Basically being asked to play by the same rules that everybody else has for the last 30 years. And no, we want it to be different because it's us.
No. The answer to that is no. 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 Not happening. No. Don't do it. Oh.
Got to mention one game here that kind of made me laugh a little bit as well. Sam Houston State started the season without a win, but now they are the winners of 2 straight after they beat La Tech 42-27.
Yeah, and one of those was Kennesaw State when Kennesaw State had a big lead in their first year in conference too. Good on the Bearcats with a K. Way to finish the season strong. That's all I can say. When you want to jump into the deep end of the pool and you're trying to do it before everybody else, good on you. You got 2 in a row. Good work.
And for UConn, we'll get you in basketball season.
Yep, and some quick late night Mountain West action. Your late game of the night. Hawaii gets the win over Air Force.
Yeah.
7-13. Braden Shaker counts through 2 TDs and ran for another, leading Hawaii to give Air Force their first loss in the Mountain West on the season.
Excellent work by those of you that had lost your shirts for the remainder of the day, played the game at TC Ching and got it all back to 0. Good work on it.
TC Cha-ching.
Cha-ching. All right. With that, we will cash out and wrap things up here on the first block of the review. When we come back in the second half of the show, we're going to go through next week's schedule and talk about everybody's favorite segment, college football on a budget. All that and more when we return to the second half of the review. You are listening to the review on the OSG Sports Podcasting Network.
Please like and subscribe.
Over here in the OSG Sports side of things, we talk football. FOOTBALL. College football version here with the College Football Review every single week. But for those of you that like not just football with 2 O's, but football with a U, FUTBOL, there's the Soccer Down Here Network. I'm John Nelson. I host the morning show on Soccer Down Here along with Jarrett Smith, Nick Alifi, Jason Longshore. And if you're looking for the best information when it comes to the world of soccer, based in the southeastern United States, but we don't leave anything off the table. 9:05 Eastern time until 11 whenever. Sometimes we go for a while. SDH Network morning show, soccer's morning show, Monday through Friday, plus all the live events we do. It is your place and your source for soccer that is based in the Southeast, but covers everything on the world. SoccerDownHere.net, the Soccer Down Here app available iOS and Android through our friends at Spreaker. That's like speaker with an R in the middle. Spreaker, do a search for OSG Sports, do a search for Soccer Down Here. All the soccer content all in one place. It is the SDH Network and Soccer Down Here.
Thanks for sticking around, everybody. You have made it to the second half of the show. This is the part where we talk about the games coming up this week in college football, the week before Thanksgiving week, the week before rivalry week, which is usually a week where we have a lot of cupcake games, and it's going to probably live up to expectations. Not a whole lot of ranked teams playing ranked teams. The only game on the board involving currently ranked teams is Georgia traveling to Neyland Stadium to take on the Tennessee Volunteers, fresh off the Georgia's throttling of Ole Miss and Tennessee getting throttled by Missouri. Not really much to say about this game. I would expect Georgia to win.
Get in price of $156.
That's probably going to be the only game worth watching next week.
Yeah, it might be a tussle for a little while, just because Neyland's such a tough place to play if you're a visiting team. but the expectation level for Tennessee fans should not be too high.
No, and especially after what happened last week. I think that for once, unlike shingles, Kirby may care what the numbers are when it comes to the Vegas number. I think they may surpass it, and it might get pretty ugly, but I would still probably take the over.
This is definitely one of those style points games where you can they could definitely pass Ohio State if they boat race.
Here's your Brock Bowers showcase game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they may bypass Ohio State this week, but that's a conversation for another show. After the college football playoff TV show to build the hype up for the end of the season. But that's again a matter. The only other game on the board featuring teams that are at least currently ranked would be currently ranked number 18 Utah at the time we record this against number 21 Arizona in Arizona. I actually like the Fighting Jed Fishes in this game because Arizona has really, really turned things around. It's been a slow progression, but a successful one.
Yeah, that's a worthwhile game to watch. I still can't believe it's only $16. That's almost making it into our next segment.
Wow, man!
Yeah, I think maybe
that's called a tease, folks.
Part of the reason for that may be the fact that the game time is still to be determined.
True. Hey, you want to go to the game? When is it?
Yeah, TBD. By the way, as we're kind of dealing with this information in real time, there is a name being floated for the job in College Station, Marty. I will present this name to you, and I will get your genuine reaction here.
Not Josh McDaniels.
No. He'll go back to New England, be a number 2, and earn a number 2 or a B+ paycheck going forward.
Number 2
could College Station, Marty, be the return of Urban Meyer?
No, because his name pops up for every job.
Yeah, I thought you were gonna say Dion.
No, he's got to orchestrate things first in Colorado.
I think Urban's got it too good with Fox. Plus, I still need to have one watchable college pregame show. And right now, that's kind of the only one by default, since they don't have anybody wearing a tank top screaming. And
that literally would be trading one horrible person for an even horribler person.
It's on brand. I'll give it that. But I mean, he's a Boy Scout compared to the last couple turds they've had.
Not really.
Compared to
that's true. You know, that's kind of like being the skinniest kid at fat camp or the smartest stooge.
Just thought I would put that out there. But now folks are floating the return of Urban Meyer. You want to throw money at a project? You bring in Urban Meyer. You win the press conference there, I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
I'd be for that just because it would give us a lot more work. We could do a lot more off-season podcasts just on that.
Yeah, there'd be plenty to talk about. That's for sure. Interesting battle in the state of Kansas. Kansas State traveling to Lawrence to take on the floundering Kansas Jayhawks, who really struggled this past week.
Well, yeah, with their second-string quarterback had to be pulled because of injury, so they were on their third-string quarterback, a freshman. And so it was understandable that offense hiccuped because of the third-string QB being a freshman after an injury, not really anticipated to play. So keep an eye on the quarterback status before you touch this one for Kansas. Is it going to be the freshman? Is it going to be the standard backup? Where's your quarterback situation? That, for me, is what's going to determine things for Kansas.
Here's another interesting game for you, and what I would qualify as my upset special pick of the week. Number 5, Washington traveling to Corvallis to take on Oregon State. And you're not going to believe me if I say this, but I actually like the Beavers in this game.
Just had them stuffed, huh?
Might have to cut that one in there. I'm with Phil on this one.
Yeah,
Washington looked very vulnerable this past week,
mm-hmm.
and they also did not look smart. And this ain't the time of the year to be making dumb plays.
No, I like Oregon State to cover at the very least in this one at Corvallis.
Break out the chainsaw.
Mm-hmm.
What other games are on the board here that look interesting? Cal State, because of a historical factor, two teams muddling in mediocrity.
The band is out on the field. Joe Sharkey, you're awesome.
Classic.
I'm not sure why this game even qualifies, but Chattanooga travels to Tuscaloosa to take on Alabama.
That's in our next segment.
Yeah, that's well, and also you've got Georgia State after their loss to App having to travel to Death Valley for a paycheck game as well.
Oh, that's going to be ugly.
Oh, here's a game for you. The Battle of Los Angeles, UCLA at USC.
Take the over. Take the over. Avoid the game. USC is going to try. Lincoln Riley's going to try to get Caleb Williams back in the discussion for New York City. I anticipate a whole lot of offensive number attempts for yardage and touchdowns by USC. We'll see where it goes. Take the over.
And it's at this point, I think I'm going to wrap things up and set up everybody's favorite segment, college football on a budget. And I do this in part because it's looking down the board here. We got a lot of ground to cover. There's a lot of games that are going to be cheap and easy to get to.
You know, we
just how we like them.
We are cheap and easy here on this show, especially in the B block. All right. So here we go. Welcome to another round of football on a budget. Game show music going right there. What we like to do in this particular segment is we will look at the get-in price for games, and we have set a budgetary ceiling of $9. Sometimes, if there are extenuating circumstances, we'll go over, double digits. And Marty will let us know if he would go to said game by brandishing a cup that has Jim Tressel wearing an Ohio State vest. Because
Mike Nugent,
for
fans of the punt.
And the reason that Marty brandishes that cup is because what we want to do is we want you to spend as much on that cup of soda as you would getting into a game. So this is where we bring in football on a budget.
That cup is roughly $1 per decade.
Yeah. So this is what you're staring at here. We got a lot of games to cover, and we got to find out if Marty will ring the bell and brandish the cup and go to these games and make new friends. And this is also part of why we do this, because we want you to expand your horizons. If your team is playing in a different time zone, if you've got a bye week, if it's a game that you can't afford to go to for one reason or another, go to another game. Go to a game, expand your horizons, make new friends, have yourself some space. You're not in a cramped, you're not in cramped seats.
Support your local schools.
Yes, support your local school. So this is where we go. And we start things off with Maction on Tuesday at 7 o'clock on the U from Husky Stadium in DeKalb, Illinois. And yes, that is the pronunciation. The Western Michigan Broncos at the Huskies of Northern Illinois. $3.
I'm in. I'm Husky, so I'll go to Husky Stadium just to get a good, funny photo.
And original football can't be beat.
Nope. And
one of these teams will end up close to being bowl eligible. 4-6 versus a 4-6.
So then, not to be outdone, on Wednesday you have more action in Athens, Ohio, on the U, 7 o'clock. Chippewa, Central Michigan against the Ohio U Bobcats at Peden Stadium. Get-in price once again $3.
I'm going, and I'm going to tell you why. I'm going to find out if they have that coach that's in that picture online to help them speed along their investigation as to whether they had somebody on their sideline they shouldn't have. And I will wear Ray-Bans, except mine won't have a camera.
There you go.
I'd be in for that game just because I hear Athens, Ohio would be really nice this time of year in early November or mid-November.
Absolutely beautiful.
Mm-hmm. All right. So now we continue to carry through. And we stop at Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
In the ACC in Pittsburgh at the stadium formerly known as Heinz Field. Now, I'm guessing this is sponsored by, I don't know who Acrisure is. I don't know if they are like computers or if they're healthcare or what. BC at Pitt, 7 o'clock on the mothership, $5.
Yeah, I just want to scout where Michigan's going to be playing next season when they change conferences.
There you go.
I may be wrong on this, but if you can get a ticket for roughly the price of a Permanente Brothers sandwich, then yeah, I'm definitely in.
It's worth it just for the sandwich.
We go to Friday once again. And this has been a place where we have been circling back to a lot this season. The Alamo Dome in San Antonio, Texas, home of your San Antonio Commanders and the Texas San Antonio Roadrunners. 9 o'clock.
Commandos.
Commanders. The Commanders from the XFL and the AAF. South Florida.
Commandos of no underwear.
Oh, no.
Leave the underpants gnomes out of this.
That's the folks that are diving into the Riverwalk while this game
That's the football gnomes, the only gnome we respect here.
Yes. South Florida at Texas San Antonio, 9 o'clock on the Deuce. Get in price $7.
I'm saying no until UTSA sponsors this segment because they're on it so often.
Absolutely true. Get the city of San Antonio.
Moratorium.
Yes. Sponsor this segment, city of San Antonio, and then we will have our minds changed. On to Saturday. And this is where you're going to have to be on the hop a little bit because the start time
of options.
because the start time in this particular one to start the table is a TBD. So you might have to fly in the morning of. You might have some time to fly in or drive into Houston later in the day. We just don't know when this starts. You might have to leave Friday night. We don't know.
If you're driving in Houston traffic, you probably do have to leave on Friday night.
Absolutely true. Oklahoma State and Houston at TDECU, TBD, start time, get in price, $4.
I'll answer that with BFD, and yes, I'll go.
Price of a Red Bull for Dana Holgerson.
Cheaper the Red Bull, nice stadium, good atmosphere.
Yeah, but Houston's another place where they might need to do some sponsorship things here because they've been on an awful lot.
Mm-hmm. That is true.
It's true.
All right, going down the list. Next one, noon kick. We do know the start time here. This is on, this is on the Plus and SEC Network Plus. That's where this game has been shoved. Tuscaloosa, Alabama. The Mocs of UT Chattanooga taking on the Crimson Tide of Alabama. Get in price, $9.
I say you have to take that. This is probably your only opportunity to get into that stadium for a price anywhere near that.
$9 for a ticket or $9 for the amount of touchdowns that Alabama's going to score?
Probably both, yeah.
Just saying.
Okay, so that one's there. And then not to be outdone, on the SEC Network at noon, Ole Miss hosting Louisiana Monroe at Vaught Hemingway. Get in price, $5. The Grove and $5. I think you got to raise the cup for that one.
I'm with you. This is your opportunity to go to stadiums that you normally would not be able to afford to go to.
I find it fascinating that game has bumped Alabama and Chattanooga to the second tier of the SEC network.
You know, that is what's referred to as a them problem. That's a them problem. I'm sorry.
If you're in the South, this is a good weekend to mow the lawn.
Yeah, well, at least early anyway. Get out at noon, late morning, mow the lawn, be ready for the 3:30 kicks. Noon also in the ACC. Number 11 Louisville at the University of Coral Gables playing at Hard Rock in Miami Gardens. Get in price, $9.
No.
I don't know if I'd pay to get into that game, but that might actually be a pretty good game.
No, I don't think so.
No.
Also in the SEC, when you talk about games being bumped to the Plus and SEC Network Plus, here's another one. Southern Miss at Mississippi State. This is homecoming week. I mean, basically, this is what this is. Southern Miss at Mississippi State, noon Eastern, Davis Wade Stadium in Stark Vegas. Get in price, $4.
I'm in.
It just means more, except for when it doesn't.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, on the opposite end of that spectrum, for a Sun Belt, so you could go see all of the SEC games this week for less than the cost of getting into App State and James Madison.
Yeah. You could get into all of these different games and be at each and every one of them. You can teleport and transmogrify from one game to the other and watch them all instead of going to Harrisonburg, Virginia.
Where ESPN Game Day is going to be, by the way.
Good on them.
But the game is going to be on ESPN Plus.
Yes.
But tickets are going for $370 just because of the tailgate show.
Absolutely. Also on the board.
And I will say Harrisonburg's a nice place to go watch a game. I've been there.
Beautiful. That may surpass going to the Ohio game.
Yep. All right. Now, also in the Big Ten on BTN at noon, and this is another school that probably should sponsor this segment. Ryan Field, Evanston, Illinois, Perdon't at Northwestern. Get in price, $8. If you're going to go to the Chicago pizza route after the fact, then
yeah, we've already hit the deep dish, so I'm going to pass.
All right.
Really don't have much interest in this game, even at that price.
Yep. Next stop, noon Eastern. Homecoming for UConn and James Mora Jr. Pratt and Whitney Stadium, East Hartford, Connecticut. Sacred Heart and UConn. Get in price, $5. No, I can't do it. East Hartford, no.
I mean, I'm a football junkie,
But
even that's stretching the boundaries quite a bit.
I go to that game. That's the day before I go to football junkie rehab.
There you go.
That is hitting bottom.
That's
I just can't.
Yep. 2:00 Eastern on the plus. Murfreesboro, Tennessee, Texas El Paso at Middle Tennessee State. Get in price, $9. You're a half hour away from Nashville.
Is that an argument for, an argument against?
I see. That's per your perspective. That's however you would want to play it.
Passing.
I'm
passing.
The more that you're talking yourself out of it, you're talking yourself out of it. Also at 2:00 on the plus from Jerry Richardson Stadium.
There.
On the campus of Charlotte. Rice at Charlotte on the plus, 2:00 Eastern, get in price, $6.
Have we had Charlotte yet?
No, we've had them on the road. I don't think we've been to Jerry Richardson.
Okay, we haven't been there, and that's half the reason for this segment. Go.
All right.
Good with that one.
3:00 on the plus. You can make some friends. Location, Chapman Stadium, Tulsa, Oklahoma. North Texas. And so it is the Mean Green and the Golden Hurricane of Tulsa to 3:00 Eastern time kick at Chapman Stadium. Get in price. I want my $2. $2.
You had me at $2.
You could buy a full bleacher at that price and still walk out ahead.
Honestly, you buy 10 seats.
You cannot buy a single thing in that stadium for $2. I'm including M&Ms.
But you can get in the door for $2. This is where you buy 10, you hand them out, you make new friends. That's an experience in Tulsa, Oklahoma. 3:30 on the plus in Conference USA. We mentioned them earlier in the show. The Bearcats of Sam Houston State chasing after a third win in a row at Western Kentucky and Hawkins Industries and LT Smith Stadium in Bowling Green. Get in price, $7.
Western Kentucky is always a yes.
Because we love our chigger. When are they going to sell all of the position group chiggers? That's what I want to know.
I know they need a little work on that. I've been looking on that for Christmas. You're looking for some gifts, and I haven't seen them up on their website, but maybe they sell them in game.
Yeah,
the reason to go.
The answer to the when part is probably when somebody explains to the marketing department they could make a fortune on it if they did it.
Oh my God. 4:00 Eastern time, the boss will be in attendance for this one. Jordan-Hare Stadium on the campus of Auburn University. Sneaky game.
Why?
New Mexico State is 8-3.
Mexico State is 8-3, and they're playing in the championship game in their conference. 8-3, Jerry Kill and the Aggies heading to Auburn to take on Auburn. Get in price, $9.
That price for that stadium, you have to go.
Yep. I mean,
and I'd go just to hang out with Roy.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my God, the tailgating.
Ring that bell.
The boss would be absolutely amazing. All right. So also 5:00, Jones AT&T Stadium in Lubbock, a place I know Phil has.
I did not know there was more than one Jones AT&T Stadium.
FS2.
Learned something new today, Marty.
UCF at Texas Tech in Lubbock, 5 Eastern on FS2. Get in price, $4.
It's a haul to get to Lubbock, but it's worth it just for the cultural experience.
It's just sad that I have to drive that far to go to a Jones-owned AT&T Stadium when I live like 10 miles from the other
Exactly.
Jones-owned
From
AT&T
the Jones Stadium that has AT&T attached to it, but it is not a Jones AT&T Stadium.
But common sense has nothing to do with this segment or myself.
Absolutely.
What is the same something with the same name but have two different meanings?
It's all about branch offices for Jones AT&T. Two more in Division One, and once again, we'll scour FCS D2 and D3 to try and find some options as well. But remember, broaden your horizons. Go make new friends. Go see new places. 7:30 Eastern. Once again, homecoming for Arkansas, and Sam Pittman sadly is probably on the career dissipation light. It is FIU at Arkansas, Golden Panthers and Razorbacks at Razorback Stadium in Fayetteville, 7:30 on the U. Get in price, $4.
I'm going just to support Kenny Guyton, Kenny G.
Oh, I would go just
interim offensive coordinator.
There you go.
Because I've always wanted to go to a game there and have never been able to, and that includes work. Where I tried to sell work. I'm going there to cover UGA multiple times, and they just looked at me like, yeah, no, we can't afford that.
Well, then you probably could sell them on this one. 8:00 Eastern on the Deuce, Tiger Stadium, Baton Rouge, Louisiana. LSU against the Panthers of Georgia State. Homecoming for LSU in Baton Rouge. Get in price for a night game at LSU, $5.
Talk about a cultural experience.
Ding, 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 ding.
You should jump on that if you haven't, because
I am half tempted to make the drive.
Anytime you could go to a game at LSU, particularly a night game, should not be passed up, especially at that price, because it may never happen again.
Okay. It looks like we have an option in actually we have a couple in 1AA. You can go to what was the other one? We mentioned a couple of crossovers. Dartmouth and Brown Stadium, Providence, Rhode Island, noon kick on the plus, $9 in the Ivy League. And you can also drop $153. Montana State at Montana at Washington Grizzly. That's going to be one of the big games in 1AA next week.
Ooh,
the battle for the state of Montana.
That might be one of the better games to watch, period.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Just for competitiveness and evenly matched teams
and
this late in the season.
And Wilkie's Missouri State are on the road at South Dakota State to take on the Jackrabbits at Dana J. Dykehouse Stadium in Brookings. Marty, no laughing. Get in price, $9.
Oof.
Cultural experience to go see the Jackrabbits. We should probably, you know what we should do?
Even though they beat my Penguins last week, okay.
Oh, you know what we should do? We should buy Wilkie 2 tickets to this game and just email them to him.
That's $6 a piece between the three of us. I'm in.
Yeah, we could do that.
I doubt very seriously he would fly to Brookings, South Dakota, but to just hear.
No, it probably would take 2 days worth of air travel just to get there.
I was gonna say the plane ride there is gonna have as many seats available as the game.
Yes. So we'll get Wilkie 2 tickets to Missouri State and South Dakota State and see what he says on next week's show. But that's football on a budget. Please expand your horizons. Please support your local teams. And if there are opportunities where you can do both, please do so, because you can go see Post and Wagner for $17 in Staten Island, New York, at Hamline Field and Wagner College Stadium. But go support local teams and go support your teams that you may not have had the chance to go see previously. That is another round of football on a budget.
And it wraps up another episode of the review. Thank you for sticking around, everybody. We are the Online Sports Guys. We love to talk college football. We're here every week. Make sure you catch our podcast on any number of your favorite podcasting options or watch us on YouTube. Thanks for sticking around. We will be back again next week where we get to talk about the end of season games for OSG Nelson, for Brother Marty, and for Brother Wilkie, who had to leave early. We are part of the Online Sports Guys team. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. We'll talk to you again soon. Bye-bye.
Please like and subscribe. And check out www.onlinesportsguys.com. Help us find brother J-Dub. He's missing.